Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Wright Experience. I'm Dr. William T. Wright, Jr., the founder and host of this show. This, believe it or not, is the 86th episode of the Wright Experience. And I'm absolutely excited to have another amazing guest on the show. This gentleman that I'm about to introduce and I used to work together back at the beginning of my principalship career in Edgecombe County, North Carolina. He was a previous principal of the school and had moved on at that time to the district office, and he provided some amazing mentorship about the school and leadership in general. He has now matriculated in his retirement to be a board chair in one of the largest districts in the state of North Carolina. So we're excited to have him on the show tonight to talk about some of the awesome things that he has going on still in his career. My guest is Mr. Donald C. Rhodes. A retired educator, Mr. Rhodes has over 30 years of experience as a teacher, coach, assistant principal, and central office director. He began his career as a teacher and coach in Camden County, North Carolina, and spent many years in Edgecombe County, North Carolina, as a teacher, coach, and assistant principal in both high school and middle school before serving 6 years as a middle school principal. As director of secondary education and director of testing and accountability in Edgecombe County, his duties also included supervision over the early college, driver education, and athletics. Mr. Rhodes served as director of testing and accountability in Pitt County schools prior to his retirement in 2011. And he is currently also a small business owner. Don is very active in his community, currently serving as the chairman of the Pitt County Board of Education in North Carolina, on the Pitt County College Foundation Board as vice chairman, the advisory board of the SECU Medical Part Branch, and the board of directors of the Fountain Volunteer Fire Department. He is a former member of the Pitt County Board of Adjustments, the Pitt County Development Commission, and the Pitt County Animal Services Advisory Board. A proud pirate of East Carolina University, Rhodes is a 4-time graduate of East Carolina, where he received his Bachelor of Science degree, 2 master's degrees, including 1 in administration and an education specialist degree in educational leadership. He and his family, in fact, were honored to be ECU's Family of the Year in 2018. Don resides in the Farmville community of North Carolina with his wife, Sarah Beth, and their 2 daughters. His wife, Sarah Beth, is the elected Pitt County Clerk of Court. The oldest daughter, Lily, is a graduate of Farmville Central, East Carolina University Honors College, and Campbell University Law School. She is currently working for the North Carolina Administrative Office of the Courts. The youngest daughter, Ellie, is a senior at Farmville Central. My, how time flies, and plans to attend North Carolina State University in the fall. The Rhodes family are members of the Farmville Chamber of Commerce, the Farmville May Museum, Farmville Community Arts Council, Farmville Musicale, which provides scholarships to the ECU School of Music and the ECU Power Club. And as we said earlier, they were also honored to be ECU's Family of the Year in 2018. The family attends Monk Memorial United Methodist Church, where Don serves as treasurer and administrative chair. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce the man who shares a wall with me in South Edgecombe Middle School, Mr. Don Rhodes.
I guess we got our pictures side by side.
I think we're still up there, right?
We are still up there.
Absolutely. So welcome to the show. So certainly a pleasure to have you. Certainly I am proud of you and your career and all that you've accomplished. And now you're in this wonderful world of serving as a school board member and school board chair. And Pitt County, for folks, is one of the largest districts, I think, in the state of North Carolina, or at least at the top end of this in terms of size. So, Don, if you'll start off telling the audience a little bit about Pitt County schools, and then ultimately your role now as a board member.
Okay. Pitt County has 39 schools. 2 of them are early colleges. Of course, Pitt Technical College we also have, like anyone else, alternative situation. Our board is 9 members. Used to be 12, got cut down to 9 about 6 years ago. 5 and 4, every 2 years. Our board is pretty much a diverse board with educators, non-educators, which I think is a strength that we have educators and non-educators on our board. Our superintendent is the longest serving superintendent in North Carolina, so that says a lot. As we head towards some trying times in the next couple of years, we got to look at maybe redistricting and a couple of other issues we're having. But all of us need those funds. But we do have a great working relationship with our community college, probably the best in the state from what I hear. We have many programs with them. We also have a great working relationship with our Pitt County commissioners. We have an excellent senior staff that's been around for a while. Our person at EPS was principal of the year in North Carolina prior to coming on to the central office level, and he's a dynamite person. Guess that's pretty much what I can say.
So you talked about in your synopsis of the district, you talked about those relationships that you formed with community colleges and also with legislators, local legislators, the county commissioners. Why are those relationships so important?
Well, the relationship, of course, with county commissioners is important because we do count on them for funds. And I know you're now in South Carolina, but you do definitely understand North Carolina. That's our supplements. And unfortunately, our supplements are probably not some of the best in the East. But, one of my goals when I got on the board of education was to increase them to at least to Craven County, which is at 10%. We're now at 7%. We've raised it the last 2 years. Hopefully we can raise it another 0.5% to 1%. We have, our commissioners fund us with a lot of local teachers and also local administrators for assistant principalships. So, we're fortunate there. They look at the best they can with our building needs. Right now, I think like last year, we were surprised. We got some extra funds because the county has some extra funds. And so what do you really need? Of course, like everybody else, we need roofs. We got aging schools. That's probably one of our biggest problems is aging schools. We potentially may have to build another couple of schools in the near future because of growth in certain areas. When you say that, well, why don't you redistrict? That's good, but when you redistrict and it creates more busing because our school that doesn't have the population is north of the river, and that's way away from the town of Greenville near Bethel, North Carolina. So busing there to me is not an option because of the travel. So that's there. When you're talking about our community college, we have a great relationship with the community college. We have a couple programs from them. Probably, I think I've got a couple here. The technical academy option for our kids. I know people have that, but we got air conditioning, refrigeration, agricultural technology, biotechnology, industrial systems technology, electrical services. Our kids go in the mornings and they're bused at Pitt Community College their junior and senior year, and in the afternoons they return back to the regular campus for their regular classes. And we also have a program called Visions, which is unique in Pitt Community College. Visions is a program where we had started back about 2005. This is a program where juniors they get nominated for it, and there are people that need some assistance and would help them to go to college. They get some mentorships, they get trained, they go during the summer, their senior year, and then when they graduate from high school, they're given $1,000 scholarship to attend Pitt Community College. Eddie Smith, which is Grady White's boat, his program that they've been gracious to Pitt Community College, and they get $500 from his foundation and $500 from the Pitt Community College Educational Foundation, which I am vice chair, which you said earlier, which is part of the situation there. I'm proud to be on that board because my wife's uncle was a long-term president there. So, we've got that great relationship with our community. We got a program called Transformers, and I'm sure a lot of other people have something like that. But we got a lot of internships, like with Greenwood Utilities, Ferry and Son, Grady White's. We even got some internships now with the Pitt County Schools Maintenance Department. So we're trying to put our kids out there in apprenticeships, as well as everybody is not need to go to college with it. We're pushing kids for the technical side of it now, just as much as any other school system are. But that relationship's there. I think pretty much with the visions. I'm just kind of looking through some notes here.
Okay, all right.
Just making sure I kind of covered what was there.
So what you're really talking about, I've started to call that we're preparing kids for level next. So not so much everybody going to the 4-year university, but having an option post high school.
Yeah, and the community. We were both the principal of the same school. That community there. I encouraged, and I'm sure you did too. And I told a bunch of our kids when I was principal, look, at college is not for everybody. Go get you a trade.
That's
my
right.
my oldest brother had a trade, and for many years, made a lot more money than I did. He was a fireman, and he built houses on the side. And jack of all trades. What much he could not do. When it come to building a house and electricity, plumbing, whatever. I look at guys I hire now, and I run a business, and I'm like, man, these guys making pretty good sum of money. So,
that's right.
I look at them. We got to have them. Look at, I look at our HVAC people, and we got a good, strong HVAC program at Pitt Community College. Our kids are involved in. That's one of the programs that in technical academy. But I look at these kids. A lot of folks in HVAC are older, which is our plumbing, electrician. These young people, we've got to push them. And I'm not sure we got to push them harder than we've been pushing them to get these trades.
Right. Because there's a lot of opportunities out there for them, but we just got to point them in the right direction. I absolutely agree that we got to do a better job of that. So while I've got you, talk to us a little bit about what board members typically look for in school leaders. What are some of the characteristics? What are some of the things that you look for when you're selecting a leader? And I know you guys haven't had to do that in a while because Dr. Linda's been there.
Yeah, and I've been involved, probably through my career, 4, 5, 6 superintendents. Luckily one of the ones that I went to Edgecombe was long tenure before we actually merged with Tarver City, so we had 3 or 4 there. But you said it, they got to be a leader. They got to be an instructional leader. And one thing I think they've got to be able to get out in the community. Right. Every superintendent I've worked with could not really go out into the community. Now, I remember one story from an old timer superintendent I had, and he was talking to me one day. He said, "Don, you got to be able to go to the country store across the school at Southwest. You got to go to and sit down and talk to those farmers." He said, "Then you got to put your coat and tie back on and go to the country club." Not everybody can do that. I like the way our superintendent go. He goes to stuff. He supports the athletics. He supports the arts. I mean, he shows up. He come back from Disney on a vacation a couple months ago, and then he was at the basketball game the volleyball playoff game that night. And I'm going like, "Boss, weren't you just on vacation?" He said, "Yeah, but I'm coming to the game." Another thing I think some of our superintendents can't do, and even our principals back in the day, finances. They've got to understand the finances. Ours is great at the money, and of course we've got some. The time I worked in Pitt, and even now we've got CFO or whatever you want to call them. Different people got different names for that financial person, but he understands the finances. He understands buildings and maintenance. So you got to be well-rounded to be a superintendent, not just about curriculum, and you got to be able to spot people, workers. You got to be able to place principals in the correct places. And I've joked with him. He's probably had a couple bad placements in the years he's been in Pitt, which has been a long time. I can only think 1 or 2, but I say it didn't turn out too well. And we all gonna think we got somebody that's real good, but he's done an excellent job of placing people in the right schools, and that's an art to that. So I don't know what else, but also be able to get out into the community. You've got to get out and talk to these community people. You got to build that relationship with the community colleges, with the county commissioners, with the towns. We've got multiple towns here in Pitt County, little small ones, but the small towns like to be a part. They you know, they're probably tougher than the Greenwood, our smaller towns.
Right. Even the metropolis of Farmville, right?
Oh, well, we've got some people forward. It's a tough place to be a principal, even on the board. I mean, it's not that tough. I mean, I am who I am. You know who I am. I'm going to be a straight shooter, and I'm here. I'm here for the kids. This is something I didn't think about really doing for a while. Being my wife being an elected official, I've been asked 3 or 4 times since I've been retired, and just this time, with my daughter being in school, and the girl left that was doing a great job, but we got 4 schools side by side in Farmville, and we wanted to keep that seat in Farmville, but we're tied into some Winterville and some other areas, but about 60% of the voters, 70% are in the Farmville area. But I knew it was important for us to have a representation in Farmville for our schools, and so I stepped forward with the blessing of the wife, and we checked with some people, but it's been a blessing in a sense. But we all went through that. We signed up in December of 19 and run in 20, and of course what happened in 20, and
that's right.
So the first couple of years, the first year and a half, they were kind of real eventful, with the mask and books and banning, and we didn't ban any books, but we had some requests. I'm sure like you and every school district have.
So if you had the opportunity, and I'm sure you do probably in your current role, particularly as a board chair, if you had the opportunity to give advice to a brand new board member just coming on a board, just got elected, what would that advice be?
To sit back and listen, maybe go back and review some previous meetings and see what took place. We do a good job, and just give you an example, and also attend. There's no dumb questions. Ask questions, and hopefully you didn't come on the board with an agenda, because that may be because you're only one out of 5, 6, 7, or 9 voters, or whatever, how many you have on the board. We have 9, so we had 2 new members this year, and what we tried to do in Pitt County, and they've always done, is have a preliminary meeting with the senior staff. Mm-hmm. And one of our persons could not attend that meeting, and you can tell on the first 2 meetings she wasn't there. I would encourage you as a superintendent to bring these new board members in and sit down and say, hey, this is our roles. This is what we do. I encourage them to know what the board policy is. Just like the other day, when we had training, I requested that our attorney train us on what we do with complaints. That's the number one thing that the board member seems to get me involved in, is complaints. We as a board member, you've got to realize, the new members has got to realize, there's not so much controversy you're going to vote on, or so many things you're going to vote on, because you as a superintendent in North Carolina, anyhow, they recommend the principals to us, to recommend the teachers, the coaches, whatever. We hire them. The only person we're really responsible for is the superintendent, evaluating him and our board attorney. So we don't hire and fire, so to speak. We I guess ultimately we do, but in a sense we don't. And also what we're doing, go back to the complaints, is how do you handle a complaint when someone emails you? What do you do? I mean, because number one, sometimes people, just like today, a teacher emailed all the board on a recent principal change we had, thanking us for that. That's easy. We all can respond to that, say thank you. I mean, I tell people I'll respond for the board, but as an individual board member, and if that's in your district, the lady asked me, is it okay for me to respond? I said, oh, by certainly. But when it comes down, say, a discipline issue or a major complaint, you need to make sure that only one person responds, and then that's the board chair. And because what some people do is, they play this game with us. They're sending 9 different emails. So what I wanted to allow you to make sure people under my tenure as board member is let me handle. Let's don't have 9 different answers because someone sent you a discipline issue, and then you respond, and I respond something different. You know how that can be. And all of a sudden, the person said, well, Don said this, William said this, and you got a mess on your hands. But most of the time, what we wanted to do is, number one, has it gone back to the school? Never as a new board member, one of the things that gets you in the most trouble is listening to a parent and take, oh, they did this. I can't believe this. The first question I always ask, have you contacted the school? You know, the principal is who you need to go to. That's the grievance procedure. You know, back in our days in Edgecombe, we had assistant superintendent kind of want to get involved a little too much in my mind. I finally asked the superintendent who was in charge of South Edgecombe School. And I didn't mean that in a sense, but I've got to be able to handle my problems as a principal. And, you know, if you can handle 99% of the time, you can work it out at the school level before a board member or a superintendent gets involved. I'm passionate about that.
I do remember those days, Mr. Rhodes. Yeah, more so than I care to bring up right now.
I understand.
Yeah, but that's absolutely so true, and thank you for sharing that with us. You know, we those of us that are in the day-to-day want to have the opportunity to solve problems, and that's the business that we're in. And don't you think, or do you think that because you spent so much time in schools and doing the work, that has helped you shape that and formulate that opinion as a board member?
That's one big advantage of being a board member is these people. Right. How do you get to know? I mean, you know stuff. I had a good friend of mine, which was chair last year. You know, he came on board the same time I did, and right. You know, he ended up being chair after 2 years. And James and I, we talked. He always calls. So what do you think? And he asked. I mean, and that's what I tell our new board members. You know, before you. If you see something on the agenda or anything else, call an experienced board member and say, "Hey, give me an idea here." It may not be what you want to hear, and you may not agree with me, but at least you can have a dialogue, and that's important. Instead of going to the board and you look at the agenda and go to a board meeting, and all of a sudden you go on a tangent, and you might be wrong sometimes when you go on that tangent, and that's kind of what's kind of bad. Is be prepared and ask questions. I mean, you know, there's no superintendent that wants to do wrong, because I know you want to keep your job.
Absolutely.
I mean, that you're trying to keep the board happy, the community happy. You know, that's what it's all about. Even as a board member, you know, everybody's not going to be happy. When this mass rule, you know, everybody won't happy. You know, that we kind of had 20, 30 speaking in our board meetings. You know, we were bad people because we voted to keep masks on. You know, and I just told people up front, I'm not voting for masks. I'm voting to keep kids in school because that's what most of my constituents wanted.
There you go.
That's what it was all about. And we had to explain the quarantine policy. That was one of the things I found out that people just didn't understand. They jumped to conclusions too quick without asking questions. And once I explained the quarantine policy, 14 days, you were in North Carolina then, you know, they said, "Oh, I didn't realize that." So, you know, they just don't, it helps. And then, you know, of course, the book banning is the book situation. Everything seems to happen in Florida come our way now. So anything happens in Florida, I look to see what's going on.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Yes, sir. So I'm sure that in Pitt County, you've got every classroom filled and no problems with teacher shortages. I'm being a little facetious.
we got a lot of them filled, but you know, we talked about it in our board meeting yesterday. We got some stuff and with East Carolina being in our back door, you know, you would think Pitt County Schools has their teachers, you know, and unfortunately, that's not true. One of the things we've been told is around 50% of our teachers are non-traditional. Yeah, and you know what that means. They're allowed.
That's a good number, Mr. Rhodes.
They're allowed elementary. They're coming from overseas.
Right.
You know, we've got some teachers from overseas. Teach for America. You know, 50%. And I'm glad to hear that. But that's what East Carolina's sitting in our back door. So right here in the county, we still having a hard time. We're hiring, you know, just like anybody else, where we can get them from, out of state. Wherever we can get them from, you know, it started way back yonder when I was principal. It was very difficult to hire, like in middle school. So, you know, it is, and North Carolina that is not helping. You left us, but you know, it seemed like, and I hate to say it, it seemed like our legislators that the funds are not there. I just found today, the last thing I saw, we're now number 50.
Right.
And you know, we were down in the 40s, but what come out this morning when I read on the Educational Foundation program was we're 50 in funds. You know, you know, we have 7% local supplement. Yeah, that's in our county.
So what are we going to do about that?
Yeah, we're still trying to raise that local supplement.
Right.
You know, but we try our best with the legislators to you know, we have legislative breakfasts and our dinners and I'm constantly talking to legislators, being my wife being an elected official. I've always, for a long time now, got to go to events, and they're there, and I put a bug in the ear like the calendar law. You've been in North Carolina, we got one man holding the calendar law up in North Carolina. That's one person's that powerful in North Carolina because he won't let the Senate vote on it, and that's not politics. That's not what's best interest of our kids. You just wonder what really we got to do. I'm one that's going to say it. I mean, I'm not going to hold back. You're not going. I've sent a letter to the chair, speaker, Sunday night about the calendar law and give them my points why we need to have flexibility in the calendar law, especially with our community colleges. That those things, they're not listening what's really in the best interest of our kids.
That's right. Well, I think that's amazing, and every school board in the country needs somebody that's going to advocate like I know that you're doing. That's so key because these battles that public schools are fighting right now are unreal. Some of the stuff that we're having to deal with because of legislative bias. I'm gonna call it that.
That's probably well
to
said.
Stay out of the political. Yeah, it's amazing. So tell me about some of your proudest moments as a board member. What are some of the things that you are really proud about that have been accomplished during the time you've been?
Well, I mean,
it's
been a short time, but probably
right.
One of the things is when I was principal, my thing I told my teachers every year is I work with you and for you.
That's right.
And of course I'd pause for a second, but don't make me be the boss because I can be. But the thing is, a board member, I'm out in the community. One of the things is we have gotten higher supplements. I'm accessible to our teachers. You want to email me, you want to call me, and including the community, they can call me, and I almost try to steer them in the best direction. Sometimes they want me to do something, like fire principal. That's not my job. I said, I'll turn your concerns to the school. If it's a teacher, you've got to go through that school level. You got to go here, you got to go there. But I go to events because, like I said, once again, I've been going to them for a while. But if I get invited, I'm showing up. I guess I'm not really, I'm semi-retired, so to speak, but I'm not. I probably work more hours now than I did when I was an educator. And my daughter being a senior, I try to attend to her events. But, there's nothing that don't go into formal school that I'm going to try not to be there. That's what I think board members need to do. And I know some of us work, but when you get in that situation, you know what you're getting into when you run. So you need to make sure you have the time to do the things you need to do.
I tell you what is amazing. Your youngest daughter is a senior in high school. I'm still trying to deal with that one, Don, because I remember she was a little bitty girl. So how about that?
Yeah, old man with young children.
There you go. Well, my youngest is 26 now, believe it or not. So,
yeah, but I'm a little bit older than you with a 17.
Yeah, just a little bit. So, tell me this: the future of education, public schools, 5-10 years from now. What are some things you see for the future of education?
Well, with educational bias, as you said a few minutes ago, that there's no. I wish I could just look in that crystal ball and see where it was going. We've got to have funding, and funding is not always the answer. I mean, everybody says we got to have money, but we're number 50th, so in North Carolina. So what does that say? Where do we want to go? Of course, it's believed in North Carolina that everybody wants to go charter and private, but as well as I know, they don't always do the things that public schools are doing because they don't have the regulations that we have. Right. I think number one, we've got to be able to fund teachers. In North Carolina, we took the insurance away for new teachers starting and new state employees starting. They no longer have insurance when they retire. And my wife, even at the clerk's office, she's not able to hire now in a sense because they can go out and make a little more money working for place X, and they may or may not have that insurance, but they're going to go make the most money because there's nothing at the end of the rainbow for them. That's hurt us. That's hurt recruitment. Even then, you would think people don't look at that at an early age, but they do, because I like my child, go get your job, but you're gonna have some retirement.
Right.
That's big. Where you're gonna have some insurance, but unfortunately, those are going by the wayside. But the curriculum is there. You're not going to change a whole lot on the curriculum. All these programs come out. We're going to have what's the best new reading program. Stuff like that's going to change. But bottom line, we still got to teach the 3 R's.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for your amazing insight. And if you'll hold on for me just for a minute, we'll come back and close out the show.
No problem. Thank you, sir. I enjoyed it.
I want to thank you all for your undivided and unwavering dedication to our show. We are certainly moving along. Next month is February, of course, and next month we will have some unique episodes that we're going to be bringing to you in the Wright Experience. We also will be celebrating 2 years of bringing you this content, and I'm absolutely thrilled about the progress that this podcast is making and continues to make for the benefit of you, the listener. As we continue, we also are looking for guests all the time. So if you know a guest, please reach out to me and let me know guests that you'd like to see on this podcast. As you can see tonight, I was anxious to get Don on the show because I knew he would do very, very well. Our guest next week is going to be Dr. Eddie Ingram. Dr. Ingram is a long-term serving superintendent in the state of North Carolina and South Carolina. He's now retired from both of those states and is currently doing an interim leadership role up north in the northeastern part of the United States. And so we'll have him on next week right here on the Wright Experience. Later on in the month, we're going to do a spotlight on the Mary McLeod Bethune Museum here in the state of South Carolina. So just keep up with us. We're going to be doing some amazing stuff, continue to do some amazing stuff as we move forward. Mr. Rhodes, I want to thank you very much, my friend. Ever since the first few days that we met and ate in Macclesfield and got to know each other, I've always appreciated your friendship, first of all, and certainly those initial days at South Edgecombe, just trying to figure out who was who and what was what. I'll never forget your guidance and your straight shootedness, as you said tonight. That's who Don Rhodes always has been, and certainly your comments and what you've added to this show, I'm grateful because I knew what I was going to get, that you were going to come and give it to us and help us grow as leaders and become better. The work of the school board is absolutely essential, and so for National School Boards Month, first of all, happy National School Board Month to you, and thank you for your contribution to the Wright Experience.
Thank you, sir.
To the Wright Experience audience, thank you and good evening.